if I had to say anything about Rio, it is a sexy, gorgeous city, that is for sure. Just everything about it, the vibe. Hello, 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 hola. Welcome. My name is Shalina Ivy. My experience in Rio was truly one of the most exciting adventures of my life. The craziest thing is that I wasn't even supposed to be there. I actually got stuck in Rio for 2 weeks, and it was truly one of the most amazing parts of my 5-month journey that I did through South America. I did 3 countries, but just spending time in South America. And so I'm really excited to share these tips with you. I think Rio de Janeiro is genuinely one of the most beautiful cities I've ever seen. And like a lot of places that are popular and getting more popular with travel, I think that people can experience it in a shallow way versus really going deeper. And through my time just meeting locals and being in the right place at the right time, I got to have some amazing experiences. And I want to share those with you here. So these are my exclusive tips. And thank you so much for joining the journey and being interested in this. So let's get into it. The first thing on my list of something that you absolutely cannot miss while in Rio is samba dancing. Throughout my travels, I've learned that dancing is honestly one of the most beautiful ways to really get to know a culture. You actually are quite literally embodying a culture. And I just also find on a personal level, dance just really makes you come out of your comfort zone. I find it empowering to move my body, move my hips. And so samba dancing really is that. And I also like these quotes from dancing, or just a lot of people often say dance is a portal, which is so true. It really can just take you somewhere. I've had nights dancing like salsa, for example, where I just felt like I got taken to outer space or something. It's the most beautiful experience when you can connect with someone and there's no words, it's just your body's talking, which is really gorgeous. And then also dance is a language of the soul, communicating its passions without a word being spoken. So with that being said, samba dancing. Samba dancing is dance to samba music, which I'll talk about next. But it is originates from Afro-Brazilians. And samba dancing, I would say it really involves the hips, and it's just really flirty and sensual dancing. It's if you ever seen the big parades around carnival time, those are samba dancers, that type of dancing. And a place where you can experience samba dancing for yourself and learn how to do it is Studio Samba Fit. I think I went here about 5, maybe 6 times during my 2 week stay. Once I got going, I got a little addicted. It's owned by this woman named Carla. I'm not sure. I'd say she's maybe in her late 40s, maybe early 50s at the oldest. And she's just so sweet and just, she has so much spice to her. And she's a true dance teacher. She's been dancing samba since she was 13, I think she told me. And she's, again, in her late 40s, early 50s now. So she knows everything about samba. She even is a director for the carnival parades and the dancing and things like that. And so when you're in the class, it is a workout. If your hip is not hipping enough, she will let you know. She will like hit it to make it hip enough. And yeah, I just had such a great time. She was trying to convince me to cancel my flight to Colombia and go to and just stay for Rio and prepare myself for the carnival. Because if you do, you can actually just join a school, and if you join and learn everything, you can dance in carnival. So she was trying to convince me to do that. In another universe, I definitely did. Also, just in case for whatever reason you're not able to take a dance class or you just don't want to go that far out of your comfort zone, I get it. There are also ensayos, and so ensayos are showings about a couple of months before the actual carnival parade. All the different studios who are dancing, they do rehearsals a few times a week leading up to it. And I caught them, I was there from December 14th to late December. So definitely be on the lookout there. Maybe depending on the accommodations you're staying at, you can ask around for those, but definitely don't miss out on those if you are able to see them. So the next thing you absolutely have to see while in Rio, or experience, I should say, is live music, specifically samba music and pagode music. And so samba music, like I explained, is an Afro-Brazilian type of music. It has a lot of African drums, percussions. It just feels very vivid, like it's really fast-paced and just feels so full of life. And then pagode is a subset of samba, and I would say it's a bit more, it just feels a bit more romantic, a bit more sensual. It's not necessarily that the songs are slow, but there just is a pace that's different from like the super energetic samba. And so I got to, there's different places you can visit in Rio to see it live, which you have to do. This was definitely one of my highlights, especially because it just happened so randomly. Again, people at my hostel, we're going here. You want to come? Sure. And so there's basically clubs where you can go see live samba music, live pagode music. And the places I went to is called Pagode de Garenja. And I will insert a clip, of course. But as you can see, I just get chills thinking about it. But basically, in these types of clubs, there will be a group of people, or the band will be in the center, and then everyone will just be around them, and they're just playing. And the energy of the crowd, the passion with which Brazilians sing every lyric of a song, you just feel it, and it lifts you away. And I'm just still so grateful I got to experience it. And this place in particular was really cool because they had the live band, but in interludes they would be playing R&B music, like 2000s R&B music, but then also Brazilian funk, Brazilian R&B. And it was just such an amazing time. There was this other place as well called Renaissance, I believe that's like Rebirth Clube. And this club is specifically Afro-Brazilian centered in its mission. And it's really big, and they also have food available, which is nice. But that was also in a really cool place to experience the live music. So something else that you definitely cannot miss out on while in Rio de Janeiro is going to a favela. So favelas, or I'll just say it the English way, but favelas are neighborhoods that are on the outskirts of cities that over the decades have been added to. And they're technically not incorporated, but generally they are where the poorest people, the most impoverished people of a city live. 1 in 5, or it's around 1 in 5, around 25% of people from Rio de Janeiro live in the favelas. Other large cities in Brazil also have favelas. They're pretty, if you've seen any Brazilian cinema, there's a lot of Brazilian cinema that focus on life in these areas. And why you can't miss out on these is that I would say that favelas are the cultural nucleus of Brazil. Just like in the United States, how the hood is kind of responsible for various fashion, slang, lingo, foods, all those things. And Brazil favelas are similar in just that so much of the culture and different things that we think of when we think of Brazil originate from these places. They also tend to be predominantly or have very large populations of Afro-Brazilians as well. And so, again, they're very central, significant part of the culture of Brazil. And so I think you should definitely make sure you go on either, there's tours that you can go on for favelas, official tours that usually work with organizations and nonprofits from the favelas, that obviously the money will go to help benefit the community, especially children from these areas, and give you a way to see it authentically. There are also under the table tours that you can go on. That's what I ended up doing. And it will be very authentic, that is for sure. But just, again, use your judgment when you are using these, because it is important to be very informed when you go into a favela, have the right mindset. Again, it's not a place that you want to go into. This is not your place just to try to get your Instagram selfies. I'm in the favela. Like, no, this is where people live. That's important to know. And then in addition to that, there are Most favelas are under the law and order of gangs and different drug lords. And so they have very strict policies on absolutely no phones, even for the people who live there. And so that's important to also have in mind. Any tour guide will tell you this, but just to really reiterate the point. And yeah, favelas that was definitely one of the most unique and really amazing experiences. I went there for a rap concert. It was really cool. I met these two Afro-Brazilian girls. They were sisters. I saw them and I used my little Portuguese to say I thought they were so beautiful. I loved their hair. And one of them happened to be fluent in English, which I was not expecting. She told me she taught herself. She was, I think, around 2021, but she taught herself English. So she and her sister took me under their wing and the whole group I was with. So something too about favelas that you should know as well is that you will see guns, and I don't want to over sensationalize it, but it is a part of the culture there. And so you will see men walking around with AK-47s, strapped with multiple guns. This is why you don't have your phone out, because they don't have your phone out. And to the point, there was even the concert I went to, there was one point during the concert that around 50, maybe 70 men all walked in with their guns like in the air raised. And I guess that was their way of just letting everybody know that, yes, this rapper is here, but this is still our territory. This is still ours. And they just were in the back watching the concert with everybody else. But I would say after a while, strangely enough, I got used to it just because I understood that this is the culture. Everyone else is okay with it. There would be times when we were walking in the street and if there was a parade of the men with their guns, everyone just kind of naturally goes to the side, you let them through, and then everyone continues going. So very interesting. And again, it's the culture there. And so for that reason, I could really respect it. So the next place you absolutely cannot miss while in Rio de Janeiro is Praia da Joatinga, which is one of the most stunning beaches I've ever seen in my life. I literally felt like I was in heaven. Just take a look. So yes, you can see when we got out of the Uber, my breath was taken away. And once we got down on the beach, I just kept saying, wow, wow. I was just in disbelief to see a beach this beautiful. And so it's about 30 minutes outside of Rio de Janeiro. I would classify it as a hidden gem. Besides my group who was there, everyone else was locals. Everyone else was Brazilians. We were the only non-Brazilians there. And so definitely if you want something that's a bit different from Ipanema Beach, which I love, and Copacabana Beach, just so you are aware and to give you proper expectations, to get down the beach and back up is a little bit interesting. There are stairs for part of the way, but once you get to the end of those stairs, you basically are walking on straight rock, like you're rock climbing essentially, and it's really smooth rock. And I found going back up was a lot more difficult than going down. So just use your judgment. I'll show you pictures and things, so hopefully that kind of helps you know is this for me or not. But I was really glad, honestly, that I went with a guy and from Sweden, and I was able to like hold on to him. I'm kind of also not the best with heights, and so I was so glad he was there, and he was just being such an angel. And yeah, I actually got to go to this beach too, just because of a girl I met in the samba class. It was her birthday, so she invited me, and then I brought two people from my hostel with me. So definitely, you cannot miss this beach. It will take your breath away. And lastly, on this list of things that you cannot miss while in Rio to experience it soulfully is in the category of accommodations, specifically hostels that I stayed at. And I know some people watching this may be like, girl, a hostel, I don't know, you're scratching your head. But just hear me out. Maybe I can convince you. I know there's a lot of luxurious Airbnbs that go viral for specifically Airbnbs in Rio. But I just find, as far as Brazil goes, when I was in the south to the north, which are very different, very different in culture, I can say one thing about both those places is community, unity, and connection are at the center of the culture. And I just think if there's any city to try out a hostel, if it is your first time or if you're going with your friends, I think Rio is a place just because it will really help. I just think the city you need, community just makes a city way much better to have people to experience it with. And so I think hostels really provide that and provide you with exciting opportunities that you wouldn't have known if you weren't staying in the hostel. And so the first hostel on this list is Aquarela do Leme. And Leme is a neighborhood in Rio. It's at the border of Copacabana and then Ipanema. So it's in that general area. It's a bit quieter than the other two, the famous ones. It's quieter, but it has its own beach as well. And the hostel is actually at the entrance of a pacified favela. And pacified favelas are favelas where the community has allowed the police to come back in and serve as dual protectors of the community. So generally, it is safer and more comfortable than a non-pacified favela. And so it is on the top of a hill, which you definitely will get your heart rate up, but it's not bad. And also, if you don't want to walk up the hill, there are guys who have motos, you can pay them and they'll take you up. I walked up the hill every single time. However, you do have that option. So this hostel, it's really big. And what I think makes it a great hostel for first timers is that the amount of privacy that you get. Instead of bunk beds, you have a whole pod. And so you can go into your little pod. It's a nice bed. There's shelves. There's AC in the room, there's fans, there's plugs, and there's also storage outside. I stayed in the female dorm, and there were a bathroom, and it was super clean. That's my biggest standard with any hostel. I don't want to stay in a party hostel. I don't want to say it has to be clean, the bathrooms, everything. And this hostel definitely met my standards. And yeah, I just met some really cool people in general I hung out with, I went to Christ the Redeemer with, and again, you have ocean views because it is on top of a hill, and so there's a rooftop, and there's just a lot of places. The dining room is huge, and so I highly recommend it. It is about 15 minutes walking from a metro, but again, not bad. And the beach is 5 minutes away, right basically at the bottom of the hill. And then the other hostel on my list is Hostel New Ipanema. This hostel was the one that was there for me when it was 2 a.m. and I realized I was stuck in this city for almost 2 weeks, and I was texting and trying to figure out where I can go. And they let me check in because generally hostels have a cutoff around 11 unless you work with them before, but they answer my WhatsApp right away and let me go. And it was a perfect hostel. I met some of my favorite people during my entire 5 months of traveling in South America in this hostel. And it is a smaller hostel, so there aren't as many common areas as the one I just talked about. You basically have the dining room and the sofa. There's one sofa, but other than that, you just have the rooms, and the rooms are traditional bunk bed style. So they don't even have curtains, so you just have the bunk bed. They did have an all girls room, which is where I stayed, and there is a nice bit of storage as well. But what makes up for the smaller spaces is the staff is so wonderful. It just has a really nice vibe. Both of these hostels, I would say, were peaceful but still very sociable. Everyone was happy to interact, and There's always something that people were inviting you to, but at the same time, it was peaceful. There wasn't like loud music or those sorts of things. And again, this hostel as well, super clean and location. It's right on Ipanema Beach. About you walk out and it's 3 minutes the beach. As well, centrally located. The Samba place was about 3 minutes away. There's a metro 3 minutes away, so it's just really like in the heart of Ipanema, which is, I would say, the chicest part of Rio de Janeiro. You just see watching the locals, and they just have their outfits on and all the little boutiques. And if I had to say anything about Rio, it is a sexy, gorgeous city, that is for sure. Just everything about it, the vibe, all those things. So Hostel New Ipanema, definitely would recommend. And yeah, I think again, hostels, I know can be intimidating, especially if you've never stayed in one before, but I think if you were to stay in one, Rio is your place. So that is the end of my list of things you absolutely cannot miss while in Rio de Janeiro, to experience the city soulfully, to go beneath the surface. There's so much more to travel in places like this than just going to, an Instagrammable place. Christ the Redeemer is gorgeous, amazing, beautiful. However, like there's just so much more to the city, and I'm really excited that you have this treasure to use whenever you get to go, whether you go solo, with friends. And so if you are interested in any other of my services or working with me deeper, I do offer one-on-one consulting for travel, living abroad, teaching English abroad, whatever you feel your journey may be for you. I do offer one-on-one sessions and packages, as well as I do offer a free 30-minute consultation call for an initial chance for us to get to know each other, for me to hear your desires, your goals, and all of those things. So if that does interest you, check out my website. You can book a time that works for you, and I would love to meet you deeper. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. And I hope that you feel loved and that you believe in your dreams and know that your dreams are worthy to become reality. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day or night.